Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Weens, where we talk about how much of an asshole Thomas is.
Yep, I'm the biggest asshole out there in the world.
Yeah, I can smell you from all the way over here.
Oh,
That's right. I'm back.
O'Reilly!
yeah, we got the egg boy with
parts.
us today.
Yeah, Egg Boy.
Yeah,
It's
it's been a
half
while.
a year.
Yeah, what? The last time I was on was when we did the Before trilogy?
Oh, was that
that the
the
last
case?
I think so. I don't think I've been on since then.
Oh, let's check.
Aside from like Ween Watch episodes.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Let's
Ween Watch.
Checkaroo.
Well, that's not the official Screen Weens podcast, though,
True.
Thomas.
The like 40 people around the world who download our podcast don't get access to that.
Global sensation, the Screen Weens podcast.
Ah, yes. The global
When did
sensation.
we watch the Before trilogy? It was a long time
It was a
ago.
long
Yeah,
time
no,
ago.
you were on the one...
Like episode 17, maybe?
You were on
I
the
guess.
one we did on A Man Escaped and Pickpocket after that.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Pierre, Joe's back. I almost called you Pierre.
You did call him Pierre.
I was like, Pierre. I didn't finish it. It's fine.
Like the White Pierre.
Well, anyway, today we're talking about Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock,
And the Gus Van Sant.
the Gus Van Sant.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know. Just Van Sant's probably, actually.
Van
I
Sant.
watched a documentary. There's a making of documentary about the remake that came on the DVD. That's on YouTube. It's like half an hour. So I watched that this morning.
How's
So I
that?
have lots of... Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
And they just kept calling him Gus. They're like, yeah, how's Gus doing? I'm like,
Yeah, Gus.
Gus.
Whenever I just hear Gus, I just think of Gus Johnson.
Gus Johnson. He's going to be on the podcast.
That would be cool.
That would be pretty fun.
He's not a very movie-centric guy from what I've like heard of his podcast, but that seemed... I'd
Well, we'll
still,
watch his favorite movie, Solo.
yeah, there we go.
Bring back Solo. Solo Part 2. Yeah, so they're both based on a book. I don't know if you
Yeah.
were aware of that.
I wasn't aware
Alfred
until we
Hitchcock.
started watching the
Yeah,
movies.
I can't remember the original author, but it was a book that came out like the previous year from
Okay.
Hitchcock's film. And I guess Hitchcock was just like, that was pretty neat.
Time
what
to
he
turn
sounds
it
like.
into a movie.
Yeah, there's a whole like movie about the making of Psycho that stars what's his name? Anthony Hopkins? Yes.
Oh, is that it? I know that is about Hitchcock. It's just called Hitchcock. Is that about making Psycho specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I saw it like once when it first came out.
Man,
but it's been
Anthony
a while.
Hopkins and Anthony Perkins, I always get their names mixed up.
I know, I was like, Anthony...
Something
And I'm like,
else.
one of them is dead. It's Perkins that's dead.
What?
Perkins has been dead for 25 years.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died in the
news to me.
90s.
You need to let go, Thomas. He's been dead for a while.
Oh no. Now I have to watch the Psycho sequels to pay tribute.
I almost watched...
I've seen the second
There's
one.
4 Psycho movies.
And
then the remake.
I take it they all weren't done by Hitchcock.
No.
No.
And
Only
the
the first one.
sequel, which I've heard the sequel's really good.
I've seen the sequel. The second one is pretty decent. Like it's not like
it's written by Tom Holland.
oh, is it?
Child's Play,
Yeah.
Fright Night guy.
Okay.
Not the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured as much.
They came out 83, so 20... in the movie, it's 22 years after the events.
Okay.
But I've heard it's, like, really good for, like, a random sequel that came out 20 years later. And 3 and 4 are supposed to be really bad.
Okay.
I haven't seen 3 or 4.
I almost watched 2 today, but then my mic broke and I played a board game instead.
Fair.
You know who Anthony Perkins reminds me of? Who, like, if they were to remake Psycho today,
Jerry Trainer.
I was gonna say Andrew Garfield.
I don't know. There were so many. I could also see that, but like there were times when I'm like, Jerry Trainer should have been in the movie.
Huh? I never.
Or
there were a lot
also, I think that a better idea, if they wanted to like have the like Anthony Perkins type of character in the remake, they should have casted Jim Carrey in the late 90s.
Oh yeah.
Because he had like the exact same physique as fucking Perkins.
Yeah, probably they were like, oh no, Jim Carrey, because back in the 90s he was like the cartoony funny guys.
Yeah.
Like, no, we can't do that.
And what did Truman Show come out like the following year?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh no, it came out the exact same year as the Psycho remake.
Well, I'm
Imagine
glad
if they
he would-
switched that. He was in the Psycho remake and Vince Vaughn was in the Truman Show.
I think I would probably end up liking the Truman Show a lot less. But
Yeah.
I
don't know. Have you seen Dodgeball?
I have seen Dodgeball. I like
Good movie.
I like Vince Vaughn in quantities. I think he can be a.
He's pretty good in Brawl on Cell Block 77 or
I've
whatever.
heard that.
or
I haven't seen that movie.
I don't
but-
Cell Block 7.
According to my letterbox, at least, I haven't seen another Vince Vaughn movie, but I'm fairly sure I've
Seen
seen
Dodgeball?
Dodgeball. I'm fairly sure I've seen Dodgeball.
If you can dodge a wrench,
You can dodge a ball.
Yeah, okay, I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Just one of those movies that I always forget that I have seen, so I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that.
Good movie. I used to watch that all the fucking time. Oh, can you close that door?
I
forgot
guess
that
I
was
can.
open.
I closed the door.
But yeah, let's talk about what we've been doing this week, because it's been eventful. I finally got back on the James Bond train 2 days ago.
I saw that.
And I watched one that wasn't awful.
Whoa, that makes like the third James Bond movie you enjoyed.
Let's check the ones I've given a 5 out of 10 or higher.
Oh man,
I've given
that's the mark of quality right there. The 5.
I've given 6 of the 16 movies a 5 or higher.
Okay,
Not
so
too
we're
bad.
we're close to a 30% approval rating.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. 3 of those are 5 out of 10s. If you want to get like to the scale that's like, I actually think these are good, then I think there's 3 good James Bond movies so far. And 2 of them are considered to be like some of the worst in the franchise, and I think that's really funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that one wasn't too bad. Timothy Dalton's a pretty good James Bond. He was only James Bond for 2, though.
Okay.
Remember.
Were both of them that he was in pretty decent?
I haven't seen the second one yet. I just watched The Living Daylights. And then the second one is... what the fuck?
James Bond and the What the Fuck? It's a
Yeah.
weird title.
What is... it's
Seems
fucking... License to Kill.
Oh.
Which I've heard both are pretty decent. And I thought Living Daylights was pretty decent, so hopefully this one is as well. And then I get on to the Pierce Brosnan ones. And I'm hoping to at least really like GoldenEye. So, we'll see.
Oh, I wish you luck.
I started watching Bleach again.
Oh, nice.
Oh, again?
Because Hinatea wanted to watch it this time. And I'm
Whoa.
like, what? So we
Whoa.
started watching Bleach. We're 6 episodes in. We just started like 2 days ago.
Nice.
So hopefully I can stick with it this time. Oh, and then I watched fucking the new Superman movie. Animated movie.
Yeah, I saw
It was actually pretty decent. I was really worried when I saw the trailer for it earlier this year because it looked pretty garbage, but it was pretty decent. And then there's a new Deathstroke movie out.
Yeah, I saw that you watched
Awful.
that too.
Bad. Terrible movie. Don't
You guys
watch
see
it.
did they drop a trailer for the Snyder cut of Justice League?
Yeah.
I haven't
So
seen
the
it.
Snyder cut
Yeah.
of Justice League has a trailer, and so does the Batman has a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Yes, and I
haven't-
have some thoughts on it.
I haven't watched either of them. I'm wanting just to go into the Snyder cut because I do want to watch it. Just
Oh my god.
completely blind of any
Well, I'll
changes.
tell you one thing. It's 4 hours long.
Yeehaw.
And you can watch it, I think, in one 4-hour movie or like split up in like a 4 1-hour miniseries kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I mean,
But you know I'm going to sit down and watch that 4 hours.
You gotta sit down and watch the whole. I mean, what? That's Return of the King, basically.
That's
the director's
Return
cut.
of the King Extended Edition
Yeah.
is, I think, a little longer. I think it's 4
Yeah.
hours and like 15 minutes or something. Or I think it's 4 hours and 10 minutes, but like 10 minutes of those are
Well, I
credits.
mean, like. That was a super long movie, and I love Return of the King, so this is a super long
and
movie. I
you
guess I'm
love Justice League.
I haven't actually seen the original Justice
It's really
League.
bad.
Yeah, I never saw that. And I haven't seen the Batman trailer. I've seen a bunch of stills from it, and I'm excited. I think Robert Pattinson's going to be pretty good.
He should be pretty epic.
Yeah, so that's...
What are your thoughts? Are they kind of spoiling the trailer?
No.
Okay, because Joe
So-
hasn't seen it. So.
My big concern is I've seen DC the work that trailers saw in Magic before for their bad movies. So
Yeah.
whenever they lean on like a popular track, I'm like, yeah, it brings caution to the wind. The director's body of work, I'm not super crazy about. He
Matt
directed
Reeves? I feel like
He directed the Planet of the Apes.
The first
sequels. Two. No, he did the last two.
That's right.
Big difference there.
My bad.
And
I really I've only seen the third one in the trilogy. I really enjoyed it. I know you didn't.
Yeah, I think
I've only seen that one too because it was when
we saw it in theaters.
Yeah,
I was like,
and I fell asleep during it.
And I was like, "Wow, this was great."
Those movies got more just like generic cliche as they went on, and I don't know that. And I'm afraid I've seen the director talk about. He's like, "Oh, a huge inspiration for me in this movie was Chinatown by Roman Polanski," and gross.
Good movie though.
I hear it's a good movie.
I'm not going to watch it, but I've heard it's a good movie. Yeah.
I'm probably going to end up watching it before I see the new Batman movie, just because like I'm kind of afraid they're going to do like kind of what they did with like King of Comedy and Joker, where they basically just reskinned that movie and brought it into
well, that's fine because nobody should watch. See, like it's bad because people should watch King of Comedy because Martin Scorsese's like a cool dude. But it's like, it's okay to just reskin a Roman Polanski film because nobody should go watch a Roman Polanski.
I get the argument, but I don't know if I agree with the full sentiment.
I feel like I'm never familiar with Roman Polanski's
Polanski
work.
Does The Pianist, Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby's probably
he's probably most known for drugging and raping a 13-year-old.
Well, I knew about all of that. I just didn't know about his body of work.
Just don't pay attention.
The Pianist.
Yeah. You can pay attention to this is my idea. I'm just like, I'll watch it when he dies. Like,
The Pianist is the one I'm most eager to watch because it's got my
Adrian
Brody.
He also did one called The Ghostwriter with Ewan McGregor that I really want to see.
Ooh.
So I'm just like, can you go die?
There are lots of times where I'm like scrolling through like a cinema group or something and I'll find like a still from like a Roman Polanski or a Woody Allen.
And it's like, they're like 60 to 70. I'm like, they'll be dead in like 15 years. Yeah. I can wait.
I can't wait 15 years to watch a movie.
Speaking of death, did you see the news yesterday?
Yeah.
That was fucking rough.
Me and Thomas were talking before we started the podcast.
For those that do not know, the guy most known for playing Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, died yesterday at 43, I believe.
Yeah.
And he had cancer that he just like didn't tell anyone about except like his family. And he had it for like 4 years. So that means he was filming like Black Panther and like Civil War and Endgame like during that. Like,
yeah.
That's fucking... And I feel like, even though I was pretty like middling on Da 5 Bloods, I feel like watching that again would like be pretty crippling. Just because like that character, the character he plays is pretty similar to like how he was. But yeah, no, that was devastating. I saw it and I thought it was like a joke picture when I first saw like somebody sent a picture. I'm like, that can't be true.
Yeah, I that was the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not real. I immediately hopped on Twitter, checked trending, and it was all of the trending page. And it's just goddamn, because I sadly haven't gotten a chance to experience any of his other works outside of Marvel. But I mean, even still, the amount of stuff that he had to do and the reach and impact he had while battling cancer is kind of incredible. It's just goddamn.
He wasn't even in that many movies.
No.
Like, he has like 15, 16 credits.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, he was an absolute icon for a lot of people, and that's going to leave a big space. You know? But same time, like that just kind of adds to the story of him. Like he played a superhero, and for all intents and purposes, was a superhero. I mean, I keep seeing pictures and videos of him, like just going to hospitals and visiting, terminal kids, and it's just like, goddamn, that adds so much to the story that just no one knew.
Yeah. So.
Rest in power, King. Rest in power.
Yeah. That was shocking, to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, moving on, Thomas, what have you been watching this week?
A lot of shit.
A lot. I just looked at your letterbox. I'm like, oof. Oof, Thomas.
Yeah. So I watched the Evil Dead remake.
Not too bad.
I liked it more than I did the first time. I still don't think it's very good, but it did improve upon my second watch, so and I had a little bit more fun with it.
That's something.
I rewatched this series that I loved in middle school called Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. It's like this kind of like campy, raunchy horror comedy show.
Okay.
The best way to describe it is like Scooby-Doo meets Breakfast Club meets Evil Dead if they were like written by Kevin Smith. It's a weird show.
That is weird.
But it was like my favorite thing in middle school, and I went into it because it got canceled after 2 seasons, so the creators like made an Indiegogo and funded like an animated conclusion movie that came to fruition. So I rewatched the series and watched the movie. The series, it aged in some aspects, but it still like held up for me for the most part. Like I still enjoyed watching it. And the movie was a little bit middling, but I still enjoyed it for the soul, like just getting to see this story that I love so much wrap up.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Then I decided to watch the Slumber Party Massacre trilogy.
I mean, I've actually been decently familiar with the trilogy, and then it's Slumber Party Massacre, and then what were the other two? Cheerleader Massacre
and Sorority House Massacre.
Okay. I mean, I've heard that at least the first 2 Slumber Party Massacres are
they're
like
okay.
Pretty decent. They're like
I gave them both like 4s, but they're fun. Like, I had a
like they have,
time
and they're pretty self-aware in what they're doing and stuff.
Like
and I feel like that guy, what's his name, Jim? I want to say Wozniak, but that's not his name.
I know that the first 2 were made like by women. Like,
oh, that's true. Is it the third one that he comes in on?
It might be. The third one was the worst one.
I'm not familiar with these movies whatsoever.
They're slasher movies that always take place during a slumber party, and there will always be a killer with like a drill.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, they're pretty corny. Like the first one is just...
and they're produced by Roger Corman, of course.
Ah, yes. Yeah, and I'm happy that I found both Sorority House Massacres, but I can't find either of the Cheerleader Massacres, which is really just putting a damper on my day. I'm not gonna lie. But, let's see. I watched the first 2 Howling movies. Some people will tell you the Howling 2 is good because it has Tits and Christopher Lee in it. That's fucking bullshit. It's a bad movie. It's not good at
But it does have Tits and Christopher.
It does. It has
and the first one's okay, right? I've heard pretty good things about it.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I mean, I liked it much more compared to the
Joe
second
Dante
one.
did that one, right?
I don't know if he directed it. I think he might have produced it.
I thought he directed the first
He might have. Oh, yeah, it was directed by Joe Dante. It's got, like, Linda Blair and Dick Miller in it.
Yo, Dick Miller!
Yeah, it's always fun to see Dick Miller.
You know Dick Miller?
No.
I'm sure you've seen Dick Miller.
Yeah, he's the guy with the snowplow.
Oh, okay.
The one who's like, these goddamn foreign machines.
They got gremlins in them.
Okay.
He's been in like hundreds of movies.
Rose up from like the early Corman days, and then just kind of became like a B movie like staple. Cameo star. Like you'll find him in all sorts of bit parts in B movies.
Okay.
He was a bit of a legend before he died.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a documentary about him.
Oh, that sounds great. I watched a George A. Romero movie that I knew is Season of the Witch, but I guess it's got an alternate title called Hungry Wives that Letterboxd decided to go with because I guess there's too many movies called Season of the Witch.
I think they usually go with the like original release name, like wherever it was original, like wherever
the
it was
version that
released.
I watched had the credit Hungry Wives, which really threw me off because I was watching it on Shudder, which had it like a Season of the Witch poster and title. So I was like, Hungry Wives.
Was it pretty epic?
No, I like the.
Maybe you're just in a bad mood this week.
Maybe I like the concept.
It's about wives that are hungry for witchcraft.
They just gotta eat.
It's basically just like this woman who is like kind of like trying to. She's kind of like having a midlife crisis, so she just turns to witchcraft and cheating on her husband. There's more subtext to it,
nice,
but it's kind of like a
horny witches. Should have been called horny witches.
Story where it's like all of its like messages will be like displayed through conversations that the characters are having, and I hate that kind of shit.
Oh, and I love that kind of shit.
Well, you might like it.
Yeah.
Like there
This
was
is why I like that we're on a podcast together, because like sometimes most of the time our things align, our tastes, but then like random things like, yeah, I love when the themes are just talked about like through random dialogue bits of like random.
See,
you're like, I fucking hate it.
If it was like, you know, they alluded to the themes, but when they're straight up just like, yes, these are the themes of the movie that I'm talking about.
No, I get that as well.
It's like, oh my god, I get it.
Joe, name a Romero film that's not Hungry Wives.
He did. What is it? Like the first zombie movie, or one of the first influential zombie movies, right?
He did like all of the first original. He did that whole stuff. Pretty much all of the Living Dead movies for a while.
Groundwork.
I don't think I've seen a Romero movie.
I would stick to the Living Dead movies. I love those movies.
Creepshow pretty good?
Creepshow too. Creepshow 1 and 2 are good. And he also did Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which is basically Creepshow 3.
Have you seen Martin? I've heard Martin's really good.
Yeah,
I haven't
seen any Romero
I haven't
movies.
seen it before, though. But yeah, no, I've heard good things about Martin. I look forward to watching that
Wait, he did Monkey Shines.
He did
You
Monkey
told me to
Shines.
watch that. I still haven't watched it.
I like Monkey Shines. It's not good, but it's like good in a...
It's Monkey Shines,
Yeah.
Monkey.
It's a movie about a killer monkey. If you've ever seen that episode of like Malcolm in the Middle, where like he gets the little like helper monkey that helps him out, and it kind of goes crazy. That's Monkey Shines.
Oh, I forgot to tell you the most important movie I watched. I watched Slender Man.
Whoa!
It's god awful.
I'm sure,
but like, I was expecting something on a similar level of like the Bye Bye Man, but the Bye Bye Man's like fun to watch. Like it's like.
I haven't seen it, but
Slender Man's just like really boring.
Yeah, that was kind of the gist I had gotten from it.
But yeah.
And then the last thing I watched was I rewatched North by Northwest because after watching Psycho, I was like, oh man, I kind of want to watch that movie. Good movie.
Was that the first you rewatched it? You said,
yeah.
That was the first Hitchcock film I watched. I've seen 4 now. I think started with that. Then I watched Rope, and then we watched Shadow of a Doubt, and then the remake. And then Psycho, and then the remake. Yeah. So I've seen 4 now. Still need to watch Vertigo.
Rear Window are 2 of his really good ones. I'm sure he's got some like older gems that I'm not like, as familiar with. That are.
I'll get to him eventually. I don't know why, but like I really like his directing style, but I'm never like I need to watch more Hitchcock. I'm just like I like the sense of like. Yeah, every once in a while I'll watch a Hitchcock. He's not like a director that I'm like, he's so incredible that I have to watch his entire filmography right now.
Yeah, no, he knows how to make like a really engaging movie. Like, really how to like hook you in and keep you on the edge of your seat.
No, I definitely agree with that. I definitely understand where people are like, oh, he's really good at crafting suspense. I'm like, I definitely agree with that. I've only seen Rope and Psycho now. Yeah. I mean, I can definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. But North by Northwest is a great movie. Shitty ending, though. I fucking hate the... I always forget it.
You don't like the ending?
No. I mean, I like the, general climax of the story, but the legitimate, end note that the movie ends on. I don't want to, say it because Joe's in the room, I don't like that. Oh, okay. I was like, that is way too sudden. And
Hitchcock has a lot of really sudden endings, at least in the one like Rope this or Rope not this necessarily. Yeah. Like it has a kind of it has like a big monologue and then
and it's got like a nice lingering shot of like the car being
but a lot of his other films have really sudden endings.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, you watched anything this week?
I haven't had much time to, seeing as I've been working 40 plus hours a week.
That's good.
And then I go home, I eat some food, and then I go to sleep usually. So I haven't been watching a lot of movies or shows or anything.
Just been playing Minecraft on your phone.
No, actually I haven't even been playing many games this week.
Just been reading the Bible.
No, actually, I fell down a small rabbit hole where I was just watching a bunch of video essays about Yandere Dev. Because I kept seeing his name pop up. I'm like, there's something here that I'm just not familiar with. So I started just learning about him. Dude's a fucking weirdo, scummy asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Want to give a rundown to Thomas?
So, back in 2013, 2014, on I think /V. he like presented.
It's a 4chan board.
Yeah, 4chan board. He was like, would anyone be interested in like a simulator where you play like a yandere? And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. And it started this whole project for him.
I think I have heard of this.
Where like he was going to make it, but the game has hardly moved in any direction since like 2014, 2015. And dude is like this weird, ego, arrogant asshole that doesn't understand how to take criticism, doesn't understand how to delegate work properly. And it's just a really kind of sad individual who should not have gotten the amount of exposure that he did at the pace he did. Because once the game first came out and it was like kind of an unplayable version, you know, like all the big Let's Players at the time, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, just hopped on the game. And when you have those kind of names and that kind of audience, your game is going to just explode with popularity. And it's just this constant, like, back and forth, like, oh, I'm going to work on this, blah, blah, blah. And nothing gets really added. Like, there are a bunch of, like, weird, like, sidetracky features that were apparently added. I haven't played the game. I've just been watching a lot of video essays and, like, documentaries on it. Like, nothing of real substance has been added. Like, the game has just been spinning its wheels and doing nothing for the past, like, 6 years. And... like, I think the numbers are, like, dudes make, like, over $100,000 through, like, various revenue streams and, like, Patreon and whatnot. The game is just nothing.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a shit.
Sounds like ass.
Shit.
Yeah. No, like, at best, dude's just lazy and asshole. At worst, he's an absolute narcissist.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had much time for a whole lot of anything. Work has just been killing me.
I feel
it. And work killed you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't have a job anymore. I'm currently on the prowl. I'm going to try to get a job as a pizza delivery guy.
Heck yeah.
And then you'll listen to the pizza time theme song.
Yeah, just put on my Spider-Man suit and go out and deliver people their pizzas.
There we
and they'll
go.
be like, what the fuck? What's this with this fat dude in a Spider-Man suit?
But they'll give you a fat tip because of...
Because of the pizza song.
I'll just threaten everybody. I'll be like, hey, you know, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man knows where you live now. If you don't give me a good tip, it'd be a shame if I came and, you know, shot my web all over, you know?
He's talking about semen.
Yeah, I would just go and come all over their house. I wouldn't like...
their
The
entire house.
Yeah.
No one's doing anything. He's on a mission. He's got to finish.
Well, I pre-store it in like a big jar in my freezer before I take it over, and I just grab handfuls and sprinkle it about.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that's what we've been doing this week.
Yep.
Let's talk about fucking question times.
Oh.
From Pierre.
Pierre time, question time.
Question number 1. Do you think that iconic characters like Mickey Mouse or Kermit the Frog will ever be retired / killed off? Should they be? Let me take this question. I think that in a capacity, like Mickey Mouse as a character is so big that he already has been retired in the sense that he'll never have like a big movie appearance because the idea that Disney's whole brand is centered around Mickey Mouse, right? So if they were to release a movie that isn't the greatest thing ever starring Mickey Mouse, it would like actively sabotage the entire PR of the company. So like while he still has like the shorts that he has and there's still I think like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, stuff like that, there's nothing in like the same capacity that Disney movies will get that Mickey Mouse will be in. He's relegated to like just background appearances, TV appearances, and being a central character in a fucking video game about Final Fantasy ripoff characters who fight Final Fantasy
But
characters.
also just generally being a corporate mascot.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
he has been relegated to be a mascot,
Yeah.
obviously. While like Kermit the Frog is still very much like central to the Muppets, and the Muppets are still pretty big in a sense, but the Muppets aren't nearly as big as like if you put Kermit the Frog next to Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is way bigger of a character.
Yeah.
Technically, Mickey Mouse owns Kermit. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. I don't think Kermit will necessarily... Like, I think eventually characters will just kind of fade away to obscurity, but it'll take a really long time.
I mean...
Especially with the, like, idea of just, like, how much people like remaking things or reinvigorating old franchises. But I feel like eventually things will fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
at a certain point.
Especially, like, the Muppets. They've gone through so many, like... reboot feels like the wrong word, but, like...
Rekindling.
Yeah, like they're trying to constantly keep Muppets like sort of in the limelight, which I appreciate.
It's failed quite a few times, but
yeah. I mean, I haven't because they've released more of the current Muppet Show, right?
I think so. The Muppet
I
haven't seen any more.
I haven't seen past the first episode, but I don't think it'll like I don't know.
It's mostly just like puppets are an easy way to fill out screen time, pretty much.
No,
I think it's more just filling out a catalog than trying to rekindle this time around.
I wish they would have just picked up like the weird like Office Muppet things that they did because that was like legitimately good.
I didn't see it.
I didn't watch it.
It's like weirdly good in that like I don't know like Kermit is like feels like a very like fleshed out character like with flaws and mistakes and like just kind of cool. Then you have all like the usual Muppet goofiness and goodness in there. Just like, they like tried to make the Muppets like real characters instead of like the little mascot caricatures that just do their one bit, you know? Which I personally loved it a lot.
Yeah, I'll check it out at some point in the future. Probably next time I go on like a big Muppets binge.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Oh yeah, more questions. Of course. There's 3. Question 2. Do you think the pizza should come in a round box or should all pizzas be squares?
I don't care.
I'm gonna go with squares because
I mean, I don't think
boxes would be easier to make and build.
Yeah, square box. Like, it's not that a pizza itself should be square. I like a pizza being circular, but it's just the ease of making a square box in comparison to a circular box.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a lot harder to make a circular box.
And they can just come, like, pre-assembled, essentially.
Yeah, but
that's
like, that like, the whole idea of having the boxes that you can just fold down with is to make much more room.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
I guess if it's one of those two options where the pizza should have to be in a round box or the pizza should be in squares, I guess squares because that would mean that the pizza boxes are staying the same size and shape. So that means that the pizzas are just bigger.
Maybe Pierre should open up a business called Square or Circle where he makes pizzas. And if you want a circle pizza, it comes in a circle box. And if you want a square box, it comes in a square.
If you want a circle pizza, it comes in a square box. If you want a square pizza, it comes in a circular box.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't care. Pizza's pizza.
Final question. What's your opinion on supporting a product that is made by a big team of people, but also that team contains a terrible person? We were talking about this earlier. For example, if a movie's director was a child cannibal, would you still support the movie? Don't the other people who worked on the film deserve cash? See, well, that question right there is really weird because, like, you get paid to work on a film. Yeah. It's not like you're not getting any more money dependent like the studio is. And I don't give a shit about the studio.
Yeah.
Like maybe if it's an independently made film, but if it's an independently made film, that means that the person that's funding it is probably that terrible person. Yeah. So I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because I don't imagine like sound people or like
the lighting department or
people
whatever.
like that. They don't continue to get paid after
they don't get
initial paycheck. At least I don't think so.
Most like actors don't either.
Yeah.
Like there will be things where it's like, hey, you're gonna get like 5%, you know.
Yeah.
If you take a lower cut now because we don't have the money, but that's for like smaller projects.
I think maybe with like some like TV movies they can get like royalties if it like plays on TV.
Yeah, some weird syndication thing.
But like the vast majority of the time you get paid, you're not getting anything else except like I guess you could argue that the exposure from like if you're playing an iconic character, you can go to cons, you'll get money for the rest of your life based around this character, but That's just like a trivial idea. That's not that shouldn't be put into this question. So I still wouldn't like support it. Like maybe steal it is fine, but I just don't have any interest in watching something. And I think it depends on what their capacity was. If it's a director, no, I'm not going to watch it because I think that directors have such creative control in the sense that like their essence is ingrained into the movie. Mm-hmm. Like I cannot watch a Roman Polanski film without being like, this feels gross.
It's his.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like the difference between like a terrible person as a director versus a terrible person as an actor are two very different things.
And even then, like Kevin Spacey movies, I still don't really want to watch Kevin Spacey movies because like he wasn't necessarily a super transformative actor in the sense that like he was always kind of similar in his execution.
Yeah,
so it's like you're
cast.
I'm just like this makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
he wasn't much of a character actor.
Yeah, which is fine if you're a good person, but he's not. Yeah. So
I guess going like back to my point, like I feel like it's a lot depending on how good the actor is and whatever role they're playing. It's a lot easier to separate the actor from what they've done. Whereas with the director, it's very much like you're viewing how they view the world in a sense.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Thanks for the questions, Pierre. If you want to send in your questions, whoever's listening, email us at 2weensandascreen,
please,
at gmail.com.
Tired of the only Pierre questions. Can I get some other questions up in here?
Let's talk about Psycho.
Let me open up my notes.
So Alfred Hitchcock, he was a bald guy. He kind of looked like an egg. He kind of looked like
he was in the movie.
He was in the movie?
Yeah, and
his daughter was in the movie.
Yeah, she played in the same scene. Because his daughter was the like secretary.
Yeah, she was the secretary. Was like, oh, she must have noticed I was married.
Yeah, that establishing shot when it's like showing the window and you see that fat guy out there with the cowboy hat.
Oh, that's
Alfred Hitchcock. I know they have another kind of heavier set guy with a cowboy hat coming several moments later.
I'm like, that was not Alfred.
But
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was him. And then they have a dude who like looks like him in the remake as well. But let me pull on my notes here.
So here's a quick rundown of what happens in Psycho. Sucks. No. There's a woman. She goes to work. Well, actually, there's a woman. She's in love with this guy who doesn't really want to see her. They only really see each other on the down low. And she's like, I'm tired of this shit, motherfucker. Yeah. You gotta see me. And he's like, fine. As soon as I can pay off my dad's loans and we can live together. She's like, blah, 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 blah. They have a little argument, but they're like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So she wants to help him pay off his loans pretty much.
While at work, an opportunity falls into her lap where she's given
$40,000.
Yeah, $40,000 or $400,000, depending on which version, because they like upped the prices in the
pretty much like the vast majority of the changes in it were just to like make sense in the timeline. Which those changes I'm fine with. Like,
cool, whatever. Like, I guess we can keep talking about the movie before we get into it.
So she works at a realtor's.
Realtors. This guy comes in. He's really scary. Gives her $40,000. Her boss is like, go take this to the bank. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go straight home after him. My head's not feeling too well. And instead
her coworker's like, you want to take some tranquilizers I got?
Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock's daughter's like, you want some tranquilizers?
You must have saw my wedding ring.
But she steals the money instead and starts driving off.
Yeah.
And one thing leads to another. There's this altercation with a police officer. She switches out her car. But eventually, she ends up at the Bates Motel. Because it's pouring down rain, she needs a place to stay for the night. Yeah. And it's kind of a motel that's off in the outskirts kind of thing. Yeah. She accidentally got off the highway, got onto this like older highway, found that. And then Anthony Perkins shows up and he's like, didn't hear you over the rain. Yeah. That's what he sounds like.
Yep, pretty accurate.
I'm Norman Bates, yeah. My mom is mean to me, but I love her still.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole of his character.
So she kind of talks to him for a bit. He gives her a sandwich, and then she goes and takes a shower in her room. And Norman Bates' mother pulls out the shower curtain and fucking stabs.
Yep.
It's the iconic Psycho shower scene that's been recreated in like a billion things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Including not just the Psycho remake, but another like short film that Gus Van Sant had done in 1979. He did like a parody of that scene.
Oh.
That was fun.
That's pretty
That's what happens when I watch documentaries about the making of this, the remake specifically. He really likes that scene, apparently.
So yeah, basically a private investigator, the main character.
Scott. Arbogast.
Arbogast.
I'm terrible with
Did
the
you
names in
recognize this
movie.
guy?
From the original or from
From
the
the
remake?
from the original.
No, not
So he's in 12 Angry Men.
Oh, was he?
He's juror number 1, which is the guy at the very end who's like trying to lead them at the beginning. He's like, okay, let's get the row.
Okay.
He's really good in that and this. He was one of my favorite parts of the original.
Can we talk about how the cast for the remake was like a soft Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
Julianne Moore,
Sydney, who's
Philip C. Baker Hall, and fucking William H. Macy. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And it's so... I have so many things to talk about the remake, which is really funny, because they don't actually have that many thoughts on the original, other than like, it's pretty good.
I've got most of my comments on the remake, but it's mostly like, why did they change this?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very much also in the same...
What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, one of the examples is like, in the original, the Janet Leigh's character has a line where it's like something about like fortunes or whatever, and they give that to the like Alfred Hitchcock's daughter's character in the remake, and I was like, well, what was the point of like swapping that line? Like, I it's not that big of a thing, but it's like, okay,
Yeah, they like word for word. The script is like
pretty much
95% identical.
Yeah.
And then the changes they do are either just to like move up the time, which is fine, or just like random weird changes.
And yeah, they would like change like some of my favorite lines. Like one of my favorite lines from the original is like, or not one of my favorite lines, but one of the lines I enjoy every time I hear it is when in the very beginning when she's like, you know, maybe you can come to my place and meet my sister and my mother, where my mother's photo is on the mantle, and she'll help me like broil a chicken or whatever. And he's like, yeah, and then we could send her to the movies and turn the photo, your mother's mantle photo.
And then in the remake, isn't he just like, is your sister hot?
Yeah. And then
I'm like, what?
And then later on in the movie, he kisses her sister.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm like, gross. All the changes in this are disgusting. Like the Norman Bates jerking off while he's like staring through the peephole thing too. Like in the original one, it seems like he's just like curious.
Yeah,
like
he's
never seen
staring
a woman before. But in the remake, it just seems like he's a like extra level of just normal gross pervert.
Yeah.
But
so Arbogast starts investigating, finds himself over at the Bates Motel, starts chatting up our boy Norman,
who is a really bad liar.
Who's a very bad liar.
Who's a much better liar in the remake, actually.
Yeah.
That was what's weird.
Yeah.
He was like...
I did not get
one of the... it's really weird because one of my big issues with the remake is, like... A lot of the characters want to be different, which is fine. I don't give a shit. I'm like, cool. Do whatever you want. Just make a good movie or a compelling movie at the very least. Which actually, I think this was a pretty compelling watch because I was like, what's happening?
It was more fueled by intrigue than the actual.
Yeah, which is kind of the intent.
Yeah,
like watching it and reading interviews and reading a lot of the people behind it were just like, we just kind of wanted to see what the fuck would happen. I'm like, what? I was like, what? They're like, yeah, we just want to see. Like, can we do it? Like, what would they do? There was one quote that's like, some people wanted to see, like, if you remake something, like, shot for shot, you try to do the exact same thing, will it correctly correlate to, like, box office? Like, some people were curious about that.
Okay.
Obviously, this movie fucking flopped. The remake fucking flopped. So,
yeah.
But a lot of the characters tonally feel different. Like the execution in their line delivery is completely different, especially when looking at Julianne Moore, Viggo Mortensen, and Vince Vaughn. Which actually, I don't mind Vince Vaughn's character in this.
I thought he did.
I think he's actually one of the more compelling parts to it, but there's too many times where he feels much different than the original, but then he tries to go back to that original too much.
No, I like definitely agree.
He tries to rein it in, and I'm like, no, just go full Vince Vaughn, Norman. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he then tries to emulate Anthony Perkins, and he's not. He fucking sucks at that part. But when he's trying to be his own thing, it's fine. It's not great because I don't think the direction in this was very good, because I feel like Mr. Gus, he just kind of let people do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. So like some things I think translated pretty well. I think that William H. Macy as Arbogast is fine, mostly because he wanted to stick as close to the original character as possible. While I think Viggo Mortensen and Julianne Moore, they were like, no, we're going to reinterpret how they would say these lines. We're going to reinterpret like their characters and their meaning behind it, which I think they're really good actors, but tied with the tone the movie is trying to replicate, I don't think translates very well.
It's got 1 foot in the 90s and 1 foot in the 60s.
And there was an interview in that fucking documentary I was watching with, I think, the editor. And she was like, yeah, so I was originally just going to try. I was like, unsure what was I going to do. Was I going to just edit exactly like it was before? Or was I going to try something new? And then she was watching the original and she's like, it was really slow. And I'm like, that's the point. And that makes complete sense because the new one is so fucking busy all the time with its like edits and like everything. It actually went by faster for me. Same. But like not in a good way. Like there was never any suspense. There was never any build up for me. It was just kind of happening.
I watched these movies in a bit of an unconventional way. I didn't sit down and I didn't watch all the way through one of them. I watched it
scene.
Interesting.
I was thinking about doing that, and I watched it. I did this morning when I first woke up. I did watch a couple of scenes because there are scenes that are exactly shot for shot. The shower scene, a lot of the swamp scenes.
The shower scene minus the clips of like clouds. And
there's weird, surreal, like dream sequence parts, like flashes during the death scenes. But besides that shower scene and the stair scene with Arbogast, and it's weird because those aren't well done still, but like they're closer. But the rest of the movie kind of just looks like a student film to me. Like, I don't know why, but I don't know if it's the lighting. Just something looked off during the movie.
Yeah. It felt weird watching it in color, like I shouldn't be watching it in color.
You're watching something that's forbidden.
That's one of my biggest complaints with this movie, because it's like, what's the one element that's missing from the original Psycho? Color. And it's like, I figured they were going to play with, like, the neon lights a lot more and, like, stuff like that.
Well, and I think that was the intent, too. So this documentary, they're talking about, like, so we really wanted to be, like, what can we bring to the table when we're doing this in color? Like, they said that exact thing. And they're like, we can really play with the saturation. And I see what they're trying to do with it. If you rewatch it, like, knowing what they're trying to do, everything in the beginning is really desaturated. There's not a lot of, like, colors anywhere.
Yeah.
But, like... Then they're like, yeah, but as you get to the Bates Motel, then, like, the color really pops. Like, no, it doesn't. You have, like, blood at one point and, like, brown walls. Like, that's not playing with the saturation.
And, like, white light from the sign.
So, like, that idea is pretty interesting. I think that does add another dimension, but it doesn't do it. Like, they don't do what they say they're gonna do.
Also, I wonder what, like, kind of, like, purpose that would, like, serve having the color amplify at the point in which Norman Bates comes into the story.
So, like, Gus Van Sant seems like he's wanting to have the implication that this idea, this Bates Motel is, like, going into a nightmare, and everything's getting, like, more...
surreal.
Surreal. That's why he's... I kind of like that. I like the idea behind it. I think it'd be an interesting element in a remake, but like he doesn't do it enough. He inserts like random clips for like 1 second during death scenes, but that's like it.
Yeah.
But like that idea, I think fits really well with her constant need to think about things and her constant need, like she's thinking about what people are saying or
How
like,
things are going to play out. Yeah.
But it just never they never. All the changes that they want to do in the remake, I feel like are decently good ideas on paper, and it's not even the execution they fail. They just fail to even try to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arbogast he eventually will die in like 2 minutes because he talks to Bates and then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave. But then he's like,
I see that old woman.
I'm very dissatisfied with what I got from you.
He sees the old woman in the house behind the Bates Motel. So he goes up there, and then she stabs him in the face at the top of the stairs, and he's like, "Ah!"
I'm so glad that they kept the original feel to that scene, because that was really good. Like
it's goofy and silly, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I do like they did do it, and William H. Macy, there's some behind the scenes stuff, and he's just like, on a green screen, just like,
Was there some, like, when they were in the film, like, when she was, like, getting the cop, like, pulling up behind her when she was sleeping on the road in the remake, did they use blue screen for that scene? Because, like, the cop, when he, like, went to check, like, the license and registration at the front of the car, looks, like, extremely, like, he was, like, transposed onto, like, a different background.
Maybe. I know that I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were talking about the car scenes in general because obviously in like the 60s, 50s before that, they have, they're not actually driving. And I think they were talking about whether they wanted to replicate that or not. And I think they said they just ended up filming them actually driving, but I can't remember. So don't quote me on that. But
Quote by London.
Also that cop in general in the remake is like trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like he's trying, there was also an interview with him. That documentary was like pretty good for being half an hour because they have an interview with pretty much everyone. Like it's a good little like just to watch to see like everyone's ideas. Also, it starts with being like, why the fuck would you remake Psycho? Like there are a bunch of people through it like, yeah, I don't really know why I'm doing it. The main girl in it that plays Marion or Marion. She'd never seen Psycho before the remake.
That's pretty good.
She's like, I just wanted to work with Gus.
Oh, jeez.
Because this was the only reason he actually wanted to do this all the way back in like the early 80s. Like he was just a really big fan and he's like, I want to remake it. And which is really weird. But he only got the permission to do it because Good Will Hunting made a ton of money.
Yeah.
And it's a good movie.
It is.
And he seems like a pretty good director. I've only seen this in Good Will Hunting, but like I've heard My Own Private Idaho or whatever with Keanu Reeves is fucking great.
I've heard similar things.
It's just weird. This was a fascinating watch. But Arbogast dies. They try to go to the sheriff,
Played by Philip
Baker Hall in the original. I don't know.
The guy in the original, the sheriff,
he had really scary eyebrows.
He had crazy eyebrows.
He did. I will say, I think that this was the one casting decision where I was like, okay, I like this one a little more. But that's just because I like Philip Baker.
That's just because it was also like a throwaway character.
Yeah, not a huge character in the original.
But Sam, the boyfriend, and the sister go to the Bates Motel.
I can't believe the remake cut out the church scene. It's where they like go and meet outside of the church. And like,
yeah.
Did you go? Yeah, they also cut like halfway.
I forgot about
They
that.
also cut halfway into the scene where we meet that guy because there's a little bit of exposition where they like first walk into the house and they're like, "Hello, we want to come talk to you."
Oh yeah, no, I definitely.
And they also cut a decent chunk of the final monologue by the doctor.
Yeah,
which
but
I don't.
The
blame
final
them for that.
monologue.
I don't know. I like the final monologue in the original quite a bit.
I like.
I do, but he was throwing around the T word a little.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think you can change it around.
Yeah.
Without.
Also, I don't think that would have been a problem for most.
I feel
people
like
in
the
90s.
pacing.
Yeah.
The pacing in the final monologue was way too rushed. Like, I feel like in the original, there was a lot of time where he would say something.
I think that guy's just delivery in general is just kind of pretty poor.
Yeah.
In the original or
in the remake?
Yeah.
I like the original one. It feels
I was a bit
really performative to me.
Yeah.
It feels like somebody on stage more than anything.
I'm a bit biased because the remake I actually really like the actor who was giving that end monologue.
Oh, okay.
fucking Robert Forster, rest in peace.
Oh, okay. He looked familiar.
Yeah, he's in the new Twin Peaks, and he's also in like Jackie Brown and some other stuff.
Oh, so he like just died recently?
Yeah, he died within like last year or so.
Oof.
Rough.
Yeah, and so they go to Bates Motel. He starts talking to fucking Norman Bates while she goes up, and they had revealed that the mother had been dead. And it's like, oh, a spoiler. But anyone that knows Psycho, that like knows anything about Psycho really, knows the story. Like I knew the things, most of the things. So she's dead. She's a skeleton.
Norman Bates is
and then
crazy.
Norman Bates is dressed as his mother and is like, they didn't do the line that I love in the original. In the original, he's like, I'm Norma Bates. And I'm like, I wanted Vince Vaughn to, I'm Norma Bates.
Nope.
And there was no like crazy like run at them like in the original.
He was just kind of
yeah.
And there were birds everywhere in the remake.
Yeah.
They also have Julianne Moore's character kick him in the face, which
Yeah.
I didn't
like,
mind.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I was like, it's whatever.
It's weird because like I think one of the notes that I was reading was talking about how in the original the only real like characters that have like a lot of like character to them is Norman Bates. Like everyone else is just, which is similar.
Norman
like,
and to a certain extent, maybe like Marion.
Yeah, Marion.
Yeah.
Which is, I really like Marion's character in the sense that like she has a character and she has like ideas and plans for the future. She's trying to make amends and then she dies.
Yeah.
I like when there's a lot of horror movies where they die and it doesn't really like mean anything.
Yeah, no, this whole movie's like weighed down by her death.
Well, and like,
the
yeah, because she died right as she like realized, hey, you know, I made a mistake.
And she's like, I'm going to turn my life around. I
Yeah.
talked to this guy who's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that is, I think the performance by Marion's pretty awful in the remake.
I agree.
Which is funny because I thought, I did think Vince Vaughn had some good parts. Like he was trying. I didn't feel like she was trying very hard. While I like some of the delivery of Vince Vaughn because I think that Anthony Perkins is really, really good in the original because he has this really good way of naturally going between like being really nervous and
I don't know if this is true or if it was something that was like fabricated for that Hitchcock movie that was like about the making of Psycho, but in that movie, Anthony Perkins, like it shows the scene where they're like what's the term? Auditioning him for the role. And he basically like in the movie, he's like, yeah, no, I actually have like real life mommy issues, like really bad. So that might have, if that is a real thing, that might be like part of what made his performance.
Like the first thing that kind of set me off of like with the remake, Norman Bates, like the first like bit of monologue in the parlor. Like that entire that entire conversation felt so weird. Like in the remake, like you can kind of tell like he obviously had the whole conversation to himself, but like there was a bit more kind of involvement. Pauses
in the original,
pauses, waiting for responses, no responses. I'm going to continue the conversation. Whereas with the remake, dude, he just kept going. He just kept going.
Which, like, that's one of the scenes I actually don't mind too much. Like, I think that he's trying to capture a different Norman Bates, which is fine. But the original Norman Bates has this really good melding of the two sides of Norman Bates. Like because he's really suave at times.
Yeah,
he can.
And then he's really like he's stuttering. He can't like get a grip on himself. But he's really good at like melding those two together and naturally flowing, while Vince Vaughn is trying to do the same thing similarly. And I think the two types are pretty okay, at least. Like, cool, he's stuttering a lot. That's pretty good. And he does have some moments where he's more suave, but it's more with Arbogast than anything. Yeah. Like, he's completely just a stuttering mess, like, when it comes to with Marion, which I think makes sense with the character. That's fine. But the two polar opposites are too jarring. They jump instead of like going naturally into one another, they're jumping in between the two. And it makes the whole like scenes really fucking jarring to watch.
I think that the scene that we were just previously talking about with them in the parlor where they're eating sandwiches and drinking milk, I think Vince Vaughn comes off as too aggro in that scene.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's like a one specific part where like you can see he's got like the angry faces. Like, but in the original, Anthony Perkins gets like a much more like, it doesn't seem like he's gonna like
kinda
snap
sad
and,
more than-
yeah, it just seems like he's just like a really awkward conversation where you can tell that Marianne is like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, like-
But in the remake, it's like, why wouldn't you leave?
Yeah,
Like I'd be fearing for my life. I'd be like, I'm gonna drive away now.
Yeah. And that's, I think, most of my issues with Vince Vaughn is just like he comes out as way too aggro for everything.
Yeah, I think he's either too aggro, and when he tries to do the like kind of nervous Norman, I get more of a dorky vibe than I do like.
But and even that, like, I got that as well, like a dorky, like, but nervous still. But I think that's fine. I just think that you can't. And he specifically was like, I didn't really want to emulate the original because I didn't think I could do it. I'm like, good, because you can't. Because most people can't. But I think Vince Vaughn has done some good stuff. I just don't think he can emulate that same thing. And too much of the movie is trying to do that. Like, that was the original intent. Like, we want to make it exactly the same. But then Gus Van Sant let everyone just go wild, like, with the editing. And I'm just like, what's going on? Yeah. Like, if he wanted to make a shot-for-shot remake, you need to keep the tone the same.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. And if, like, okay, you're not doing that, then make it different.
I feel like a lot of, like, what we're circling around is they could not decide which direction they want to go throughout the entire movie. No one had a solid plan or vision going into it. So it was this weird mishmash of stick to the original kind of, but not really. We're going to still do our own thing. And it's going to create this weird, not really psycho, because it didn't feel, a lot of it just didn't feel the same.
Yeah.
Like, and that was just kind of a culmination of everything. Like, I made a comment when we were like watching the remake. Like, the music was different. It felt rushed.
Oh, the fucking sound design in the remake is
oh my god,
the worst.
And I don't think it's because of it. So, like, the composer was Danny Elfman. And Danny Elfman's a really good composer, but it's specifically the mixing and the design.
There's a scene where they're like, when she first comes into the hotel, it just stops raining. It just stops.
I specifically rewound it. I'm like, but you can, like, still hear the rain in the background, but it's like...
It's so obvious. It wasn't like... It wasn't timed
I'm like,
up
they
like
could have literally just put in a fade-out audio.
Yeah,
and
or
then,
like, you know... I would have been fine with them just reducing that noise if it was, you know, when the door closes, right? But no, the door was closed, they were sat down, it just mid-conversation, the rain cuts out. And the fucking, you bring this up, I completely forgot. The fucking monologue. You could hardly hear the psychiatrist.
Yeah, because it's like, and I'm like, what's happening?
Like, what is he saying? Thank God for subtitles, but like, what the fuck? How did anyone think that was all right?
Also, there was a point where I thought my audio got out of sync, because when she's like doing the math on like how much money she needs to return, it starts playing the...
They hear the shower all the time.
I know, and it's like, why are you playing this here?
And I'm like,
popping your cherry a little early.
It was bizarre as fuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really bad sound mixing, and
it adds its own like weird charm, but at the same time, I feel like it's net negative.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I got no positive out of that. I was just like,
it got a couple of weird chuckles of why.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my goodness.
So yeah, end of the movie, just Norman Bates is sent to an institution, and then there's a monologue in his head of his mother being like,
yeah, the mother
I'm not even gonna swat this fly, then they'll see what kind of person I am.
They'll look and they'll say, hey, she wouldn't even hurt a fly.
But yeah,
I also don't like the final like shot of the remake. It'll like, they pull the car all the way out, and then it shows everybody leaving, and it's like, I don't like that. I like the kind of like visceral, just
coming out
at
the end and then fade to black.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point that I thought something else was going to happen in the remake. Like, I'm like, why is it?
Are they going to show the credit in the trunk?
Because they also threw the money in the trunk in the remake. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it was a weird time. I didn't even I didn't love the original in the first place. Like when I watched it, I enjoyed it, but like I do think that the lack of characterization of like the second half characters is pretty dragging. Like because I think it's an interesting thing. Like a favorite of mine is Inferno, the fucking Dario Argento film, and they do a similar thing where the protagonist dies off. Spoilers for Inferno, but it happens pretty early.
Movie's been out for like 50 years.
40, yeah. It happens pretty early on.
Yeah.
And then it switches to their sibling. So it's a very similar thing, but they both have like enough characterization. Well, I think both in the original and the remake, the sister's just like the same character.
I feel like they tried to in the remake. They tried to shoehorn some weird character angle by making her like this punky rock.
But that's specifically Julianne Moore's doing. Like she's like, okay, I want her to be a character of her own, and I'm like, good. But then Gus Van Sant has to allow scenes that do that. Yeah. But there are no scenes in the original that allow that.
Do you think it was her idea for the Walkman?
Yeah, probably. It was also her idea probably for the kick in the face.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, I'm fine with those changes, but
there's not enough.
When you don't do anything with it, it feels like you're just kind of throwing it in there to be like, see, they're a unique character. They have their own
And Viggo Mortensen just comes off as a dick in his he's just like, I don't know, is your sister hot?
I genuinely like the that Samuel Loomis character from the original.
Yeah.
He was compelling. I think that they're pretty paper thin in their characters, but they're both like fun.
Yeah, in the original, you can tell like he, obviously has his issues, but he's at heart a nice person.
Yeah.
Like he
and like even in the remake, they show him like writing a letter to her, being like, "Hey, I really miss you. You're right. Even if we have to live in the back of the shed, I think I want to be in the original." Is it in the original? Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Or I guess I missed it. But, like, they still try to do that, but he just doesn't come off as a genuinely good guy. He's just like...
No, because it's like, hey, is your sister cute? And then later in the movie after, it's pretty assumed that she's been murdered.
Yeah,
he's
like trying to make a move,
Let me put my arm around you. And it's just like, gross.
And I also don't think in the original or the remake, like, the news that the sister's dead really hits anyone. Because,
well, they didn't even,
they say it, the psychiatrist says it. Like, yes, she is
swamp.
dead. Yeah.
The swamp took him. Like, there was
because there's always that bit of denial in you, like, okay, she might be alive somewhere, she might be missing. And then they're just like, she's dead? Okay. And both of them. And I'm like, what? Nothing, like, not even like, what is going on?
Yeah, no, that is a thing. And I also think, just talking about like the original movie and some of my gripes with that one in general, since we've been fucking beating up on Gus's, I think that I get why it's there, and I like some of the scene, but I feel like the exposition dump at the end was like, oh yes, he got an alternate personality that took over after he killed his mother, blah blah blah.
I think that I like the monologue at the end, but I do think it could have been written better.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit on the nose.
You could have intersperse that throughout the entirety of the runtime once we get introduced to Norman. I think that's part of my issues with the original, because I enjoyed the original. I thought it was good, not great. But I think that might also be because it's so permeated into pop culture, movie culture, everything, that midway through the movie when we saw Norman Bates, my gears started spinning in my head, where the fuck have I heard Norman Bates before?
Yeah.
Bates Motel, and that serial killer archetype of the good boy who loves his mom.
And this is one of the, it's considered a proto slasher by some that helped lead the way to slasher films, which is funny because I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, Psycho 2 is pretty much just a slasher film.
Yeah. And so, a lot
of... it's a lot more similar to,
it has... A lot of the things just didn't hit me at all. I'm like, okay, it's good, it's well executed, there's some good things going on, but, it's not just... It just wasn't doing anything for me. I think it's...
I definitely, it's probably one of the weaker Hitchcock films I've seen, at least in my opinion. But there's a lot I still really liked.
Yeah.
The songs are great. That fucking iconic...
is
do you recognize that? And you heard that before?
Yeah, from Family Guy.
And Reanimator. I don't know if they use
Family Guy. Yeah, no, I remember.
I mean, I think it's just one of those, just culturally known things.
Yeah.
Like I definitely have like respect for, you know, like the reverence it has and what it has inspired forward, but just I don't know, it's a good movie doesn't do much for me.
There was also a part of the documentary that was like a lot of people, like a lot of casual moviegoers, don't even like, especially younger people, don't know what the fuck like Psycho is. And they were like interviewing people like, what do you think of Hitchcock? He's like, what the heck is a Hitchcock? And I'm like, I do like a lot of the.
I went and saw Psycho in theaters.
Oh, look at you. The original or the remake?
The original, back when our theater did those like screenings for like older movies that no one ever went to, which is a shame because it's like kind of.
But
cool.
yeah, I didn't like. I thought that the remake was really bad, but I didn't like hate my experience watching it because I did find it fascinating. I like watching remake. Like I like this idea that we're doing where we're watching the original and the remake. So I didn't feel like I was hating my time with it.
Yeah.
But it definitely was no like watching Harakiri and that remake because that remake like
makes changes.
Makes changes, but like keeps the core the same.
Yeah.
While this like didn't make changes yet still changed the core by changing the tone of everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Thomas, remake or original, what do you give?
8.
I'm at like a 6.5.
6.5.
6.5 to a 7. We'll go with 7.
Okay. I'm also going to give the original a 7. So 7.333 repeating.
Yeah. All right, London.
Forever.
London remake.
3.
Thomas.
I don't know. I've been struggling with this because it's not like an incompetently made movie.
There are parts. The sound.
There are
makes it
parts.
definitely.
There are definitely parts. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, there are. But
it's like copied and pasted from the original, which makes me want to give it a lower score. So I think I'm going to copy London and give it a 3.
Wow.
I'm at like a 4. I thought it had like a good amount of goof to it, but like there are a lot of things that I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
So 3.33 repeating.
Cool. Also, Vince Vaughn was kind of hot in the movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I mean, Vince Vaughn and Anthony.
Or maybe specifically in the behind the scenes stuff because he's just like hanging out. He's just like sitting out like.
Yeah.
But Anthony Perkins was very sexy.
Oh yeah, he was gorgeous.
So was Janet Leigh. Or Leigh. Is it Lee or Leigh?
It's Lee. Jamie Lee Curtis, Janet Leigh. It's her daughter.
Yeah, but it's...
Well, yeah.
Oh, her maiden name's Leigh, isn't it?
Yeah, like...
Leigh, and then her...
Curtis. Is like her married name.
Shut up. Okay.
But...
Yeah. You excited for next week? So I'm going to give you another option. You said you wanted to watch a really bad thing, but I will let you change to the really good one if you want. It's up to you.
I mean,
also, it's not Doug Walker.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say, please, no, not Doug Walker. Anything but Doug Walker.
You've been threatening him to watch Doug Walker?
I told him last podcast, I said, we can either, for the next director deep dive, we can either watch a really good director or a really bad director. And he said really bad. And I'm like, I was originally thinking this director, but then I'm like, or I could do Doug Walker. But To Boldly Flee's almost 4 hours, and I don't want to watch that. So do you still want the bad director? Okay.
Lay it on me.
Next week, we will be talking about Uwe Boll and 5 of his movies.
Oh, man. Hopefully he doesn't come and beat us up.
House of the Dead,
which
is the one I've seen.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen, too.
Alone in the Dark, In the Name of the King 1, Rampage, which is supposed to be his best one. Like, to the point that it's, like, actually competent. And Blood Rain 1.
Okay. I'll probably end up, like, messaging you later.
I'm going to send you them right now.
Awesome.
But, yeah, thank you, Joe, for joining us.
Thank you for having me on again as a guest. It's always fun.
Always a pleasure to have the Eggman.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. Go watch the Psycho remake. Only the remake, though.
Only watch the remake. Don't watch the original.
The original stinky.
If you're Pierre, nothing happens for the movie and then it ends.
Or if you want to see it, I don't know. I'd probably recommend Rope. Rope
is
I definitely recommend North by Northwest over the original Psycho, personally.
Yeah, North by Northwest is a very engaging, funny movie.
It's like a fun movie to watch, while Psycho's like, oh, I remember that scene, but then there's parts that I'm like...
I guess if anyone wants a brief just plot synopsis on what North by Northwest is, it follows this guy who basically gets mistaken for another guy and gets kidnapped, and it turns out he's got to unravel because he gets set up for
they remade that yet?
No. And
they did the Family Guy episode.
So they end up trying to kill this guy because he doesn't have the information they want, because he's not the guy who they want. So they end up pouring a bunch of alcohol down his throat and making him try to look like a drunk driving accident by pushing a car off a cliff, but he ends up just driving away super drunk, and basically from this point on in the movie he's a wanted man and has to basically unravel this mystery that's surrounded himself, and it's a super funny almost spy-like, it's kind of got spies.
It's got spy in definitely.
Okay. But great movie. I'd highly recommend it. It's I think a little over 2 hours.
2 hours and 16 minutes or so.
And then Rope is about a dinner party involving on top of a murdered body.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Two guys.
And it's edited to be all one cut.
But it's 3 or 4 cuts.
It's a couple of just very large cuts, but it's edited in a way that is
there can't
largely unnoticeable
or something.
Yeah, 2 of the cuts
are painfully obvious.
Painfully obvious, and the other 2 are pretty good.
Yeah.
For the time period, it's still very fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week for Uwe Boll. Yeehaw.